US Navy's unluckiest ship with an untouchable crew, USS William D. Porter. I have no clue what this is about. This is going to be interesting. Before we do jump in this, like 80% of you guys are not subscribed to the channel. You're one of those people that aren't subscribed. I appreciate if you can hit that subscribe button. But yeah, let's jump in this and see what we got.
Yes, the time the USS Iowa got a jacuzzi tub installed in it, and then like 2 days later, an American destroyer shot a torpedo at it.
Okay, this is where we go.
And today we're talking about the ship that shot that torpedo. Ladies and gentlemen, the unluckiest ship in U.S. naval history, the USS William D. Porter.
Oh my God, that's a long ship.
Nicknamed the Willie D. But first, a word from our sponsor, because this video is brought to you by me in a quack bang print Hawaiian shirt, because we have a bunch on Pearl Harbor. America decided, hey, head there after the video, which we're going to get back to right now. All right, important background info. The Willie D is a Fletcher-class destroyer. If you don't know, right after the attack on Pearl Harbor, America decided, hey, we need a bunch of more naval power if we want to fight this war. So they basically had two options of how to go about that. Option A, they could do what the Germans and the Japanese were doing by creating a couple of warships that were like really, really good, supposedly. You know, like they're going to have a bunch of armor and a bunch of firepower. Right. They're going to be unstoppable and huge and blah, 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 blah. Or option B,
what did I say? What did I say?
Power, and they're going to be unstoppable.
So by American planes during operation. Okay, so they're not really unstoppable. They're not, mate.
And huge and blah, 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 blah. Or option B, they can go with the tried and true American strategy of accuracy by volume. Right. You can have one really big, really powerful warship, or you can have a shit ton of pretty good warships and just overwhelm the enemy with sheer numbers. Okay?
Mad.
It's kind of like that decision that you make at 2 a.m. when you're drunk and you call Domino's and you're like, hey, can I get a large pizza? And the guy on the other end of the line is like, yeah, I can give you one large pizza, or hear me out, I can give you like 57 medium pizzas for the same price.
Bro, who's drinking? I'm saying drinking because I just drank. Who's eating 57 pizzas, bro?
America's picking the 57
Actually, for the same price, you might as well just stick them in the freezer.
medium pizzas every time. Okay, if you're not picking up what I'm putting down, the Fletcher-class destroyer is quite literally the Sherman tank of the ocean, okay? America built a ton of them. Which, you know, good, that's a great strategy. The only problem with making a bunch of new warships, though, is that you're going to need a bunch of new sailors, and new sailors don't always have a ton of experience, and that is where the story really begins. So, once upon a time, July 6, 1943, the USS William D. Porter gets commissioned and put into service. We now have a brand new warship being crewed by presumably a bunch of rookies.
That's pretty cool.
And their first mission. It's probably going to end up being something pretty easy, you know, where all the new guys can get their feet wet, get some experience, build their confidence up, something along those lines, you would think, but no, absolutely not. We're going to go ahead and send them on a super duper top secret mission where they are going to help escort the USS.
What? We're just going to send new guys on the top? Bro, this is just America in a nutshell, man. But I love it. I'm all for it, man.
Iowa across the super duper top secret mission where they are going to help escort the USS Iowa across the Atlantic Ocean to North Africa. You know, the same Atlantic Ocean that in 1943 was infested with German U-boats that were sinking hundreds of ships. And just to be clear, this mission is so secretive that nobody even involved in the mission knows what's going on until it's already happening. This is like the Snoop Dogg or Willie Nelson of secret missions, okay? This is the highest level of secrecy that you can achieve. Why is it so secretive? Because on the USS Iowa is going to be FDR, the president, his entire Joint Chiefs of Staff, and the Secretary of State. And they're all...
Hold on. Did I hear that correctly? Are you sending, like, rookies to help with this secret mission? Bro, what?
They're all going over there so they can attend the Cairo and Tehran conferences where they're going to meet Stalin, Winston Churchill, Shanghai Shek, all the leaders of the different countries that are going to fight the Axis powers. And my favorite factoid of this entire mission is that the crew of the USS Iowa had no idea that they were going to be escorting the president, but at the same time, they had to make certain accommodations for the president before he showed up, including installing a jacuzzi tub in his quarters. So for a period of time, there was a bunch of new sailors looking around like, why the fuck are we getting a jacuzzi tub installed on our battleship? This is awesome. And then like a week later...
Yo, they're probably loving it, thinking like it's a new thing. Like they're just going to have a bunch of jacuzzis everywhere on their new ships, on one of their battleships, and they're like, oh, hell yeah, man. But then it's just for the president.
DR shows up and the whole crew's like, oh, well, this makes way more sense now because obviously FDR can't really shower. He's going to need a bathtub because, you know, he's got that water polo injury or whatever happened to him. Anyways, so the Willie D goes to leave port for the very first time to meet up with the USS Iowa, and while backing up, they forgot to bring the anchor up all the way and proceeded to scrape the life rafts and a bunch of other equipment off of the destroyer next to it, and then they bumped into like 2 more destroyers just trying to get out of the harbor.
Nice. The Willie D, probably.
So they set out on this super secret mission escorting the president across the Atlantic. It's the USS Iowa being escorted by 3 destroyers, including the Willie D, and 2 escort carriers. Now, while they're traveling, they have to have complete silence to be as quiet as possible to not get detected by U-boats, and that includes not using the radio. Absolute radio silence. You have to communicate using signal
they go use radio
instead.
on it.
So fast forward, we're like 24 hours into this 8-day-long mission. Everything is going great. Then suddenly, we're like 24 hours into this 8-day-long mission. Everything is going great. Then suddenly they hit a rough patch of ocean, and the Willie D apparently didn't strap down all of their depth charges, and one of them just rolls off the ship into the water and fucking explodes. Okay, now the crew of the Willie D knows exactly what happened, but all the other ships have no idea.
Yo, this is mad, bro. Bro, how is it? Is that like a common thing, like an easy thing to happen?
All they know is that there was a huge explosion underwater near the boat that the president is on. Everything went from 0 to DEFCON holy shit like that.
Oh my
God. So they're thinking they're getting attacked by German U-boats. They break out into evasive maneuvers. Everybody's...
Wait, and they're trying to keep silent. They don't want to use radios and stuff, do they? Yo, and they accidentally explode. Oh my.
Run into their battle stations, getting ready for a fight, and then the Willie D hops on the signal lamp and we're like, sorry, that was us. The whole radio silence thing actually comes in pretty clutch for the Willie D right here because since they can't talk on the radio, command has no idea of actually figuring out what happened. They're not going to know that somebody just forgot to ratchet strap down the depth charges, and they also can't get chewed out via signal lamp. So the whole
Yo, they would have left that guy who didn't strap the depth charge. They would have left him in the ocean behind, man.
The conversation was pretty much just that. Hey, that was us. We're not getting attacked. The end. For now. And since this is the first of 8 days on this voyage, there's a good chance that everybody's just gonna forget that this happened and we can all move on. Fast forward 2 days, we're now on the 3rd day of the 8-day voyage, and the USS Iowa goes full dog and pony show mode, and they decide they're gonna release a bunch of weather balloons to be able to shoot their anti-aircraft guns at to show off for the president. So they get all these weather balloons up in the air, and then they proceed to let...
Well, yo, I ain't gonna lie, if I was on the ship, I'd be doing the same thing, but like, you just don't think this kind of stuff would happen, right?
Them float all the way across the continental United States from Montana to the coast of South Carolina before they shoot them down with an F-22 Raptor. Wait, that's the fucking wrong story. Sorry, so the USS Iowa opens fire with their anti-aircraft guns. They're taking out all these weather balloons. FDR's super impressed, but then there's a huge gust of wind, and it blows a bunch of these weather balloons out of range and over towards the Willie D. At this point, the Willie D is like, oh shit, this is our chance to redeem ourselves. Quick, man those anti-aircraft guns. We got to take out these balloons. And that's exactly what they do. They start absolutely destroying these balloons. They popped every single one of them. I
absolutely love balloon tower defense, man. But I just love how like they're just having fun in the middle of the ocean like this, man. It's so cool.
Did a terrific job. So they pop all these balloons. The crew of the Willie D is just amped. They've totally redeemed themselves. Everybody's going to forget about that depth charge thing now. This is the best day ever. So the commander decides, not wanting to lose all of his crew's motivation, they're also going to do some torpedo drills, keep boosting up their morale, you know? So when you do a torpedo drill, you send the torpedo guy down and he takes the primers out of the torpedoes in the torpedo tube so that when you fire the torpedo for the drill, it doesn't actually launch the torpedo. So the chief torpedo officer goes down, takes all the primers out of the torpedoes, gives a thumbs up that they're good to proceed with the exercise. The commander of the Willie D then picks a target. Now, bear in mind, he's trying to improve his men's confidence and morale, and what are you gonna do if you want them to score a hit? You're gonna aim for the biggest target, right? Give them the biggest opportunity to succeed that you can give them. So, they aim at the USS Iowa, you know?
Wait, the one with the president on?
The ship with the president on it.
Oh, like, why? Why? Why, bro?
So the crew takes aim with the torpedo tubes. Commander gives the order, fire torpedo number 1. Click! Torpedo stays in the tube, nothing happens. They wait a few minutes, they're like, oh hey, we scored an imaginary direct hit. Good for us, terrific. Commander gives the order again, fire torpedo number 2. Click. Nothing happens. Wait a few minutes. Oh, hey, we scored another direct hit. Commander gives the order. Fire torpedo number 3. Chief torpedo officer, fire fucking what now? Oh! The Willie D has now just fired a live torpedo at the President of the United States, and they have anywhere between 3 and 5 minutes before that thing hits the USS Iowa. What do you do?
What? Wait, hold on. But why is it taking so long? Is it like a slow torpedo? No. 3 to 5 minutes. I thought the crew was pretty close together. Oh no.
And 5 minutes before that thing hits the USS Iowa, what do you do? Obviously, you radio over to the Iowa and say, you need to move right now. But we can't do that because we're under orders to maintain radio silence, remember? And if we—
Who cares about radio silence? You're firing torpedoes.
we break radio silence, some German U-boat might come out of nowhere and shoot a torpedo at the president. So they decide they're not going to use the radio, which is like not calling the fire department when your house is on fire because they're going to show up and get
this is mad.
Wet. Like, sometimes you just have to fight fuck-ups with fuck-ups, okay? But whatever. So they decide they're not going to use the radio. They're going to use a signal lamp instead. So this poor, what I presume to be an 18-year-old kid that was probably in high school 6 months ago, climbs up on this signal lamp, probably having the worst panic attack of his entire—
Oh yeah, remember, these are rookies right here, man.
life, knowing full well that if he messes this up, he very well may be partially responsible for killing the longest sitting president, both literally and figuratively, in American history. And the panic attack is starting to get the best of him, because he's up there like, 1 if by land, 2 if by sea. How many fucking lanterns do I have to hang to signal, don't move, there's a torpedo coming at you? So the commander of the Willie D tells this kid, signal the Iowa, tell him there's a torpedo coming towards you. The kid sends a signal, the Iowa gets a signal, and it reads as, and I quote, there's a torpedo moving away from you. So now the Iowa's super confused. They signal back, they're like, what? So the commander of the Willie D tells this kid, fuck it, just signal the Iowa, tell him to back up. Kid sends a signal, the Iowa gets it, and it reads, and I quote, we're backing up, meaning the Willie D is backing up. So the Iowa's sitting there like, there's a torpedo moving away from us, and the Willie D is backing up. I think they're getting attacked by a submarine right now. So they signal back, where's the submarine? After hearing this, the commander of the Willie D finally comes to the realization that he would rather be the guy that broke radio silence than be the guy that killed the president of the United States. So he picks up the radio and calls over to the Iowa.
I would do that.
He says something along the lines of Lion, which is the Iowa's code name. Emergency torpedo in the water, turn right. The Iowa doesn't know who's talking to him, so they're like, say again, who is this? And he's like, it's the commander of the Willie D, fucking turn right or you're gonna get hit by a torpedo. So they bank right. At this point, all hell breaks loose on the USS Iowa because there's a torpedo coming towards them and they have the president on board. Everybody's running around like chickens with their heads cut off. At this point, FDR decides he's gonna be a complete gangster, just straight up hold my blanket, orders his secret security guys to wheel him up to the railing because he wants to make eye contact with this torpedo as it shoots the USS Iowa. And in his own diary later on, he would go on to write about how he personally saw that torpedo miss by only 1,000 feet. So the torpedo missed, the crisis is averted, but the only problem is now Willie D is the only ship that knows what actually happened, and all the other—
See, like 1,000 feet is long, right? But in the terms of like the ocean, like when it's a torpedo and a big ship, yeah, nah. But that's crazy. That is crazy. Bro, what is this ship doing, man?
Crisis is averted, but the only problem is now Willie D is the only ship that knows what actually happened, and all the other ships are still looking for a submarine that attacked the USS Iowa.
My days.
So the Willie D has to radio over and is like, yeah, that was us. Sorry. At which point, the USS Iowa takes all 3 of her turrets, 9 16-inch guns, and turns them and points them at the Willie D. The Willie D is then ordered to leave the group, sail back to Bermuda by themselves, where they're going to get investigated because they just tried to kill the president. And what happened next is kind of debated. One story goes that the Marine Corps boarded the Willie D and arrested the entire crew, making it the first and only time in U.S. naval history that an entire crew got arrested. Some people think that that didn't happen because it wasn't in the Willie D's official war diary, but you also have to remember that this was already a super secret mission, and this was fucking embarrassing. embarrassing. I mean, the government didn't release this to the public until the late 1950s after World War II.
Yo,
so
this
it could
is
have actually
mad.
happened and the U.S. government covered it up because, you know, the U.S. government covers up all kinds of shit all the time.
Right.
But what we do know for sure is that the chief torpedo man that failed to remove that third torpedo primer got sentenced to 14 years of hard labor, or at least that was.
Oh, I thought he was going to say prison, bro.
Until FDR decided to be a complete gangster yet again, because apparently he found the entire almost assassination attempt thing funny and decided to pardon him. So that was that.
Yo, you know what? He's an actual legend, bro. FDR, because, listen, like, you gotta see it as, like, it was an accident, bro. They're out there, they're practicing, they're drilling, they're already out there doing their service for America, and, like, yeah, like, even though they nearly killed him, bro, it is kind of, he survived, so it's kind of funny. So I kind of respect that, you know what I mean? I kind of respect it. But yeah, this ship, bro, this ship is, what are they doing, man?
The president stepped in, said it was fine. Now the Willie D got sent over to the Northern Pacific. They had to make their way through the Panama Canal up the West Coast. Now they're operating off the coast of Alaska and around the Aleutian Islands. They're there for about a year and everything goes great. They do a bunch of training. They go on a couple missions doing anti-submarine work. They do some shore bombardments. Everything goes according to plan and it's perfect.
Nice.
Then they finally get the word that since they're performing so well, they're going to get sent over to the actual Pacific theater and they're going to be fighting in the Philippines and eventually the Battle of Okinawa. Like, this is where the real fighting is going on.
Right.
And these guys are pumped to be sent there.
Hell
so
yeah.
just to reiterate, like, they've done their time. They've put a lot of hard work
their
in. They're
time.
starting to redeem themselves. They're getting another shot and they're about to leave the Northern Pacific.
I'm guessing this is like the whole entire same crew, right? The Willie D crew. Like, wait, that's actually interesting. You know when you have like the US Navy and you got your crews and stuff? Are you assigned to a ship and you stay in that ship and that's like your kind of like house?
What do you think they do? They throw a party, obviously. Break out the booze. We're going to have one big party before we actually go off to war. So they all get hammered, and somebody has a bright idea. You know what we need? Some fireworks. Load a round in one of the 5-inch guns. We're going to fire it. And that's
I already know where this is going, man.
exactly what they do. And sure enough, that 5-inch shell makes its way to land. And not only does it hit land, it hits the military post that they were operating out of. And on that military post, it landed in the front yard of the commander's house while he was having a party full of all the other high-ranking officers.
Oh my.
This is also another event that wasn't documented in the official war diary, so
Yo, at that point, don't even own up to it, bro. Oh, bro, this shit.
clearly could not have happened. But, okay, I've said this once and I'll say it again. Just because something is not in the official log doesn't mean that it didn't happen. Anybody that's been in the military or worked a blue-collar job knows that whenever anything goes wrong, the first thing you do is look at the highest-ranking person there and say, can we fix this without having to tell the boss?
Right.
And that's exactly what happens 100% of the time. And in this particular case, the commander that had a shell land in his front yard had two choices. He could A, pull their orders to go to the Pacific so that he could launch an investigation and try to get people in trouble. That's going to take 2 years of his time and cause him a huge headache and a bunch of paperwork.
I don't want to do that.
He can just sweep it under the rug, pretend it didn't happen. Those guys already have orders to leave like this week, and they're just not going to be his problem anymore. What would you do in that situation?
Yo, I would just ignore it, bro. In that situation, I go. You know what I mean? Hey, Willie D, your crew, get on out of here, man. You be someone else's problem.
So the whole shooting a 5-inch naval gun into the commander's front yard deal gets swept under the rug, and the Willie D gets sent off to the Philippines to fight in the war. And unfortunately for the crew of the Willie D, absolutely no one has forgotten the fact that they shot a torpedo at the president, because every time the Willie D gets anywhere near another US ship, they radio over and say, "Don't shoot, we're Republicans," you know, because FDR was a Democrat. But despite their past and despite being made fun of, they actually start kicking ass. They get put on anti-kamikaze duty and start doing a really good job. They shoot down a bunch of would-be kamikazes. They send a lot of radio transmissions letting people know that kamikazes are inbound. They're really starting to turn it around. Fast forward to the Battle of Okinawa, one of the largest naval battles of World War II. I believe the largest amphibious landing in the Pacific theater during World War II. And yes, the battle where the Yamato gets sunk. Is that relevant to the story in any way? And yes, the battle where the Yamato gets sunk. Is that relevant to the story in any way whatsoever? Absolutely not, but I'm gonna bring up the Yamato being a coral reef every chance I get for the rest of my life.
I don't know what
Battle
that
of
is.
Okinawa, Willie D is on anti-kamikaze duty, and sure enough, here comes a kamikaze. But unlike usual, it's not trying to fly past the Willie D to make it to the more valuable ships. No, this kamikaze is coming for them. Now, I've heard conflicting accounts as to what type of plane this kamikaze was. I've heard that it was either an Aichi-style dive bomber, commonly referred to as a VAL, or a Mitsubishi Zero. Now, I don't know why they called the dive bomber a VAL, but I believe they called the Mitsubishi a Zero because zero was the numerical representation of how many times these planes made a successful landing on average. Either way, it's coming right for them. So they open fire with the anti-aircraft guns. They end up
so they're just complete users that they never hit?
Putting the plane down right in front of him. The plane sinks underneath the water. The day is saved. Hooray. Or so they thought, because the kamikaze apparently hit the water at the angle it was diving at. It then sank below the water and continued to glide until it got underneath the Willie D and then blew up, breaking the back of the entire ship and causing it to sink over the course of the next 3 hours. The entire crew was forced to evacuate. Thankfully, all of them made it out okay. All right, now let's recap because everybody...
Listen, from this story, bro, I am so connected to the Willie D crew. I ain't gonna lie, bro. Like, I feel like they're just... I feel like they're kind of like my friends in a way that I just don't want to be involved with, but, you know, like, they bring back the good stories.
Refers to this story as a story of the Willie D, the U.S. Navy's unluckiest ship. And it is. It was crewed by young men from the very beginning and experienced mishap
Ship's gone there, man.
And would ultimately meet its demise after getting blown up by a plane that was underwater that it had already shot down. If that's not unlucky, I don't know what is. However, I would also like to put forward that this has probably been the story of the U.S. Navy's luckiest crew, because nobody else has done this much dumb shit and never had to face consequences.
That actually makes sense. Unluckiest ship. Oh, with Untouchable. Oh, it's in the title, Untouchable crew. Yeah, with the luckiest crew, yeah.
For it. Leaving port for the first time, they backed into multiple other warships. Nobody cared. 24 hours into their first mission, they dropped a depth charge when they were supposed to be being quiet, and everybody seemingly forgot about it because it got overshadowed by the fact that they shot a torpedo at the President of the United States. Then, when they were about to face consequences for that, the President stepped in and pardoned them. Then, they went ahead and shot a 5-inch artillery shell into the front yard of a base commander's house while he was having a house party full of a bunch of other high-ranking military officials, meaning that is now 2 almost accidental assassination attempts on high-ranking people in the span of a year, but that just got swept under the rug, no big deal. Then, when they finally get their shit together and start turning it around and being productive members of the military and start really kicking ass, what I can only describe as divine intervention steps in and blows up their entire ship with an underwater airplane that they had already shot down, and somehow all of them make it out completely okay. So in conclusion, I guess this has been the story of the unluckiest warship that was manned by the luckiest crew in U.S. naval history. Thank you for watching. Best way to support the channel is go buy some merch. What a good story, man.
Make sure you do check him out. Amazing videos, honestly. But hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. If you guys enjoy, make sure you leave a thumbs up. Subscribe for more content. I'm live every single day on twitch.tv/L3WG. If you guys want to check me out over there, I'll see you on the next one. Peace.